Hey you fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box Podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 105.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear. And it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way.
Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
You can indeed.
Yes, those eyebrows.
Howdy, 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 doo-doo-doo, howdy, doo-doo-doo, Who fans. Hope you've had a fantastic week. How you been, buddy?
I've been fantastic.
You've been fantastic. Have you been nice and warm?
I'm baking. Yeah, we're in the middle of an unusual heat wave here in the UK.
I tell you what, I'm roasting here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. It's like the TARDIS controls have malfunctioned and there's just little fires everywhere. You know, it's like heat just cut, like, you know, in all seriousness.
It's like when Tennant regenerated and it all burst into flames.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. I've got like the heat just radiating off my large monitor that I've got on my desk. My laptop's just, you know, sizzling away. The CPU fans are just going mental, sizzling away. And there's just heat everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I've been to the TARDIS wardrobe and found out my shorts, and it's all kicking off. Yeah.
It's all kicking off. In all seriousness, though, I hope you guys have had a great week and you found something Doctor Who related that you've been managed to watch, listen, view, draw.
Listen. Oh, sorry, I'm still in.
Whatever you like. What have you been up to Doctor Who related, buddy? Anything cool?
Absolutely, yeah. I've had an absolutely amazing weekend last weekend. I went to the Tom Baker Phantom event in Chiswick, London.
Chiswick.
And had an absolutely brilliant day there. Tom was looking really well.
Yeah.
He was on top form, telling lots of stories. We're in the queue for ages because Tom does like to chat, which is a good thing. I don't mind queuing for Tom because at least when you get to him, it's not like autograph go. You know, he has a good old chat, and yeah, it was a really great day. So obviously meeting Tom Baker was a highlight, but I also got to meet Philip Hinchcliffe, and I'd heard sort of through the grapevine that Philip could be a bit, I think I said to you, sometimes a bit tetchy, grumpy.
Yeah,
well, that was not my experience. I must, because I was a bit worried about meeting him because of what I'd heard. He couldn't have been nicer. He was really, really nice because I saw him and I was like, oh, Philip now, better go and meet him. I had the best chat with him. It was just like brilliant. And cool. Funny enough, I was talking to him about the podcast and he was genuinely really interested. Because I said to him, we just reviewed Talons recently on the podcast and we were saying what a great production it was. And he was like fascinated. Like, you know, like sometimes you'll meet a celeb and you can just tell that they're nodding and they're like, yeah, move on, son. You know, you've got your autograph. I've given you a smile. He wasn't like that at all. He was like, so what is it then? Where can you hear it? And it was great. And I had a great chat with him about Talons, and he agreed it was one that he really, you know, liked. And
that's really cool. Yeah.
So yeah, it was great because as I said, I had that bit of trepidation about meeting him, and I'm happy to say he couldn't have been nicer actually. So maybe that person that I heard that from just had a bad experience with him or something, but he was great. Really good day. Also met Simon Williams from Remembrance of the Daleks, Chunky Gilmore. He's a thoroughly nice chap as well, so that was really good. So a great day there. And the icing on the cake, and I know you saw the picture because I put it on Twitter. As we were leaving, one of the guys I know there, Paul, who listens to the podcast, hello Paul, he said, we're going to the stage door to meet Billy Piper. Do you want to come with us? And I looked at this tiny little car and I was like, what, we're all going to get in there? He's like, yeah, it's fine. It's only up the road. So we all crammed in this car. And when I say crammed, we literally couldn't breathe. And Adam, the Ultimate Whovian, was with us. You know how tall Ad is.
Wow.
It was like he nearly had to put his head through the sunroof. It was like that. He sort of sat in the middle. Poor old Ad. So he went to the stage door. and waited about 10 minutes, and Billy Piper came out. And I'm always a bit nervous about meeting people at stage door. I don't know about you, especially if I haven't seen the play. Because if you've seen the play, you kind of feel entitled to be there. But because we hadn't seen it, I was a bit like, oh, should we be here? She was amazing, mate. She could not have been any nicer. And like, she just didn't seem to care whether you'd been to the play or not. She was signing everything. She was having photos. It was just the best stage door experience I've ever had. And I come out of there like with the biggest smile on my face you've ever seen. Because I didn't have anything to sign, because obviously it's a bit of an impromptu visit, I just bought a program and got her to sign that. And the program was only £3. So it was just brilliant.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. It was just an amazing day. And I'm still, as you can probably tell by the overexcitement in my voice, I'm still on a major high about it. And I'm absolutely buzzing. And I've spent the whole week, I videoed it, I vlogged it. I've spent the whole week, any spare minute I've got, editing the video, and it will be out. Well, by the time this podcast's out, it'll be out. So shameless plug, but I'm so pleased with the video that I can't wait for people to see it. So if you want to see me meeting Tom and other YouTubers and Billy Piper, it's online now. It will be online now. Yeah, it was just such a good day.
And where can they find you if they don't know about you?
Sorry, it's a shameless plug, but as you can see, I'm so excited. Just YouTube, Geeks Handbag. Just search the Geeks Handbag, and it's Tom Baker Phantom Event, and then in brackets, plus Billy Piper.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. When you go to somewhere, whether it's a convention or a signing or so on, and you get the feeling that the person that you're with is genuinely making time to either have a quick chat with you, or they're interested in you as a person, or they're happy just to pose for some photos and stuff. That's the best feeling, isn't it? Because you feel like, well, for one, you feel like you're not annoying the hell out of them, because I don't know about you, mate, but I've had a couple of experiences where they just want to get to where they're going, and they're like, oh, I can't be doing with fans today.
Well, that's the thing I had with David Troughton, isn't it? Because I know people said, oh, he's always been fine when I've met him. I'm like, yeah, but I saw him after a play, and he was like that. He couldn't wait to get away. He didn't, photo, quickly. It was like that, and it's so nice when you do feel like that she just seemed really chilled is the best way I can put it. You'll see in the video, she just comes out. She's just like, come closer. Don't be scared. So it's just like, she's really, really pleasant. And the weird thing is the stage door at the Young Vic where she's performing is, it sort of comes out into the bar. Normally the stage door's outside the theatre and whatever. This one, it's sort of, she sort of has to come out into the main reception bar area. So it's really like,
oh, that's weird.
It's a bit strange. But I think there was a few of us there. I would say there's about, I don't know, 15, 20 people waiting to meet her. It was sort of like the afternoon, so I'm guessing it's between two shows or whatever. But
the matinee
she wasn't mobbed. Yeah, I would say it's probably about 20, 25 maybe. I'm trying to think now, but because it was all a bit of a blur. But yeah, there weren't a handful of people. And she was really just, patient and had photos and as many as you want. She was just, it's really cool. Really good. So
that's a lot cheaper than flying out to the US to see her at a US convention.
Well, we were talking about this afterwards, actually, because we were sort of saying, do you think they get annoyed at people waiting at stage door who haven't seen the play? And I mean, the thing is, and I genuinely would love to see the play, but it's completely sold out, and so there's no chance. But believe me, if I could have got a ticket, I would have gone. But yeah, we were talking about this. We were saying, well, is it a bit unfair to expect them to pose for photos and stuff if you haven't seen the play? But there are sometimes this is the only way to meet them. I mean, we've got a story coming up in the news, which I don't want to ruin, which kind of highlights the fact, you're sort of thinking, well, Pearl Mackie, for example, if I hadn't met her at stage door, apart from going down to Cardiff and meeting her while filming or whatever, but sometimes it's the only way to actually get an autograph or meet them because they don't do UK conventions. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses, I don't know, but it was a great experience. That's all I'm going to say. And I didn't feel that she minded. Quite the opposite. It was a really nice time. So yeah.
Well, the
photo, that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, the photo says it all, mate. Nice big smiles, relaxed.
Yeah. You'll see on the video, she's very, very relaxed. Yeah. She looked very cool. She had a Bowie t-shirt on as well, which is a a big thumbs up. She looked very cool in a Bow t-shirt.
Cool.
So that's been me, mate. Yeah, I've just been on a massive high ever since, and I'm slowly coming down from it. What about you? What you been up to?
Well, my week is very uninteresting now in comparison to yours.
Well, I wish you'd been there. I think because the Tom Baker event, we've been to a couple of Phantom ones, but you couldn't make this one.
Well, I could, but I didn't get a ticket in time, and I put my name down on the waiting list. And I had to do that once before.
But you got in the last time, didn't you?
Yeah, and I emailed them and said, I'm not being funny, right? But you know who I am. So, where's my ticket? And they emailed back.
Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
They emailed back, quite politely and said, we don't know who you are. You haven't got a ticket, but we can put you on a waiting list. Well, fair enough. And then I got an email literally within 24 hours to say, with a space come up, so you're on the list.
Yeah.
I'd like to caveat that by saying that I didn't type that.
No, we get the sarcasm in your voice, don't worry.
And I thought I was going to get away with it this time as well.
I've got visions of you going to the stage door now. Don't you know who I am?
So I was going to turn up at Chiswick anyway and just walk in.
Let me in.
Because if I remember correctly, they don't really have, if there's like a crowd of sort of 5 or 6 people walk in, you can very easily just walk in. It wouldn't be that difficult, just to... I'd be like, right, Adam, cause a distraction, fall over or something, and I'll be in there. But I don't want to be a troublemaker, you see.
You want me to faint over the table of photos, knocking them everywhere. Oh! Yeah.
Like, everyone, no.
I don't think we should endorse trying to get into an event for free.
We don't condone that behaviour.
No, but I sort of know what you're saying.
Yeah, which is why I sort of boycotted that idea at the last minute. So in a nutshell, I was hoping for one. I put my name down on the list, and they replied, as they always do. They're great guys who run the Phantom events, and they were like, really sorry you haven't got a ticket. This one was quite popular, but your name's down, so if a space comes up, we'll let you know. But alas, I was left out in the rain.
It was busy. I have to say it was busier than before. Yeah. Gareth Roberts was supposed to be there. He's supposed to have been at the last 2, and he cancelled again.
He's busy.
We were like, because he's one of the ones you might have met, isn't he, Gareth?
Yes. Big
if
fan
he'd have been
Gareth.
there, well, you'll be pleased to know he didn't turn up again, so you didn't miss out on that one.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't get to go to the, rub shoulders with Tom and stuff like you did. Like you did. So I've just been at home, quite boring, just watching Doctor Who. So I've watched, in the build-up to watching our review episode, Aliens of London, I just started from the beginning. So there's something quite cool about the episode Rose.
Yeah.
It's almost got like an event. It almost feels like it's an important event, isn't it, in Doctor Who history. So whenever we're looking at the 9th Doctor stories, and there's one that's like in the first half of that series, I typically stick it on from the beginning and just watch Rose and the End of the World and stuff like that. So I've done that. So I stuck series 1 on and just basically watched through the first few discs. A little bit of an Eccleston marathon, if you like. And I tell you, mate, every time that I do that, my appreciation for Eccleston and how much I enjoy his Doctor just grows every single time I watch a bunch of episodes. So I did that, just ploughed through a few of the old Eccleston stories, which was really good. I finally got round to listening to all of the old Doctor's New Monsters box set.
Oh, really? I haven't managed to listen to any more yet. Yeah, what did you think?
Yes, very good.
Good. Oh, okay.
Very
good stuff.
Good.
I've still got 2 to listen to from that one.
Yeah, the McGann one, which is the one that I was actually looking forward to that one the least, I would say, out of all 4. Not because of McGann at all, but because of the Centauran thing. I thought, are they going to go along the lines of, having a very comedic, humorous thing like we see with
Strax.
With Strax all the time, but it actually turned out to be a lot, not what I was expecting. So, that one, and I know you didn't like it, but that one and the Jadoon episode.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't mind it. I just zoned out a lot in it. I need to give it another listen.
Okay, yeah. So those two, they sort of surprised me out of the set. I really like those two. But yes, mate, you're in for a treat. It's they're very good. And then I think the whole box set is worth a re-listen from start to finish, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Because you do sort of get on a roll. You sort of do enjoy it. You're like, wow, that wasn't too bad. Davison and the Angels. But next up, yes, we got some Colin, and then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this is great, but McCoy's round the corner. That's going to be
good. With the Sycorax. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
So, I mean, that one was pretty good, actually. That one was pretty good. Overall, as a box set, I don't think it's going to, be a modern classic or set the world on fire with, in terms of storylines, but it's still a very enjoyable listen, I would say.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm looking forward to listening to the other two, and I definitely need to go back and. Well, I'll just go back and listen to them from the start because the Judoon one, a lot of people enjoyed it, and I don't know. I think I just had a lot on my mind that day. It just didn't grab me at the time, but I'll definitely give it another listen.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just going back to what you say about Series 1. Actually, I was going to touch on this in review, but I may as well say it now. It's strange. I love the feel of Series 1. Like when I watched our review app last night, like you, I could have quite happily just sat down and watched all of them because.
Yes.
I don't think there's a bad. There are some episodes that are a lot better than others, but I don't think there's any episode at Series 1 that I can't happily sit and watch. It's just a great, considering that they were sort of having to try and please a multitude of, different fans and new fans, old fans and stuff, and they got a lot right in Series 1, I think. Which is a real testament to the team. Russell and everyone else, Judy Gardner, Phil Collinson. It's really good stuff. Series 1. It's got its own feel to it as well, hasn't it? Like the music,
yes, yep,
the style of it, the characters we get introduced to. It's brilliant. So I know what you mean. I could have quite happily, if I hadn't been told to switch it off, because something else was on the TV by my other half, I could have quite happily ploughed on with more of Eccleston.
Turn that nerd thing off.
Yeah,
time to do some cleaning.
Dinner's ready. Get to what was it was on last night? We watched some rubbish last night. I switched it off and we ended up watching some Channel 4 drama, and it was bad. So I sat there saying, "See, I could have watched another episode rather than that rubbish."
We could be watching The Doctor right now.
Yeah,
but no.
But alas, no. Are you getting Doctor Who magazine this month?
I am. Mr. Davison.
Because it's got Davison, a Davison interview. The reason I ask is because it's just, about half an hour before we kicked off, plopped through the letterbox. And because I'm a subscriber, we get like a special cover this, which is quite a nice idea, actually. It is a bit battered, but I kind of expect nothing less from my deliveries this now. But it's a nice cover. And I must admit, I haven't read the interview with Davison yet, but I am looking forward to it because... he doesn't chat that much about Doctor Who these days, does he? He's not really.
No, not really.
No. So I hear on the grapevine from people that have read it that it's quite a frank interview. In fact, I saw someone tweet earlier saying it was a disgusting interview, but I don't know why they were disgusted by it. So I'm looking forward to reading that later on. Yeah.
Yes, I will pick that up later.
Yeah.
From Sainsbury's, probably.
Probably good old Sainsbury's, yeah.
Other than that, buddy, not much else. Oh, I've made some more progress. More progress for the wallpapers, the classic.
Oh, excellent.
Wallpapers. They're getting there. They really are. And also, we've had a few people ask, since we announced the winner of our goodie bag a couple of weeks ago, our listener, Alex Kingdom, who won that. Your stuff is on the way, but I've just had a bit of a kerfuffle. Not my fault, with the printers who are doing the T-shirt. So it is on its way to you, buddy. I've had a bit of a to-in and throw-in back and forth with the printers over something, which I won't go into now, but that's all sorted. So they reckon it's going to be out to me sort of beginning to middle of next week. So as soon as that's ready and done, I'll plop it in the bag and then it'll be out to you. But since we announced that, we've had a few people say, or can we buy a T-shirt? Can we buy a Big Blue Box podcast T-shirt and so on? The answer is yes. That's going to be set up very soon. Hopefully in the next couple of days, there'll be a shop front thing where you can buy T-shirts of varying colours with the logo on and some other bits and pieces. So just keep an eye out on Twitter and Facebook. We'll put that out there. But it is coming.
Lovely. I just imagine them coming back from the printers with that mistake on saying something like the Small Blue Box podcast or something. You're like, no.
Yeah, it didn't even get to that stage. It was just just a bit of a conversation I had to have with somebody there, just to, put them.
Oh dear! Someone's been cemented and put under. Someone's under the tarmac. Yeah.
Yes, but that's all good now. So,
what about the newsletter? What's going on with that?
The newsletter that should be rocking and rolling, but we've had a little technical gremlin. A cyber matter's crawled into the system, so
all right.
That should normally get magically generated and sent out, but something's not quite right with that. So I will investigate.
Again, visions of Gary going around the TARDIS console with a big mallet, like the Ninth Doctor. Smash it, come on!
That would be easier at this point.
Yeah.
And that might actually yield some results, but yes. It will all be just chill. It'll all be sorted.
Yeah, just chill. It's all getting there.
It's all good, yes.
It's all good, yeah.
But T-shirts and stuff will be on the way.
Excellent.
Right, buddy. Shall we land this puppy?
Yeah, let's land.
Do some years. I'm just getting out of the way.
Oh, yes, I love it. I haven't heard that for a while.
The rant jingle.
Oh, we'll be needing that.
We will be. First up in today's news. USA fans, US fans, American fans, North American fans, whatever you want to call it. East Coast fans, more specifically. If you're around in the US, around New York City in October, you'll be able to link up with Mr. Capaldi and Pearl Mackie from the latest. Okay, guys, you can't, for the benefit of our listeners, I can see Adam on Skype and he's quite ferociously
tearing up the rule book.
Yes, he's going nuts. He's shaking his fists at various things in his room right now, taking it out.
Throwing a glass against the wall, the TARDIS wall. Yeah.
Yes. So New York Comic Con is on October the 6th through to October the 9th. And Peter Capaldi and Pearl Mackie will be there, along with Matt Smith and Karen Gillan. They will also be attending at the Javits Center in New York for New York Comic Con. Now, this links in quite nicely to what Adam was saying earlier. When we were discussing about sometimes, needs must. So the only way that we can, meet our favourite stars from our favourite TV show, we have to sort of take an alternate route. So if we can't meet them at a convention or whatever, then we just, hang out by the stage door and so on. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes that's the only way, because it just seems like current stars from Doctor Who since 2005, it's one of two things. They just tend to shy away from the UK circuit because of a number of reasons. It might be that the convention is just not quite their cup of tea. It's not in a location that they're particularly fond of. It's not paying them enough money. Whatever it is, the UK circuit is just not attracting stars from Who. It's as simple as that, from modern Who. Yeah. And it seems to me like the US circuit has just got a load more money that they can throw.
It's all about the dollar.
Yep. Yeah. And so, yes, long-term listeners will know our feelings on this stuff. And the thing that makes it more annoying for me, I'm not sure about you, buddy, but the thing that makes it more annoying for me is that London Film and Comic Con, run by Showmasters, they've had some huge stars in the last 2 years. So there's absolutely no reason at all why. I can understand with Capaldi and Pearl, because when London Film and Comic Con was on a few weeks ago, they were probably filming. So you can kind of see, all right, fair enough. That's like a clash, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyone else, like Matt Smith, Arthur Darvill, Karen Gillan, any of those people that have been in the show since then, there's no reason, schedule permitting, why Showmasters couldn't have snapped them up, because they had the money. Because when they're getting people in like Michael J. Fox, Sigourney Weaver, Jeremy Renner, these huge people who are charging bucket loads of money.
Yeah.
No disrespect to people like Matt Smith and Karen Gillan, but I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't fetch that much of a fee.
They'd probably be on par with those. Yeah, I mean, Matt Smith, I would have thought would hopefully be doing some UK stuff by now, which I know is why a lot of people bombarded him at the stage door recently when he was doing something at the Royal Court. Because again, he hasn't done anything in the UK for a long time that I'm aware of. Jenna Coleman again is always US. I mean, like, US listeners, don't get us wrong. We are, it's great you get to meet them. We're not taking that away from you guys, but it's just we'd like a slice of the action as well, because it does seem like they never do anything over here unless it's like a Doctor Who festival run by the BBC where I think last time they didn't even do autographs. Did they do? Oh, they did photos, didn't they?
That's right.
But they didn't do any autos at all. At the last festival, and it was Peter and Jenna were the only main stars there. So yeah, great if you're, if you can get to it. When is it? October the 6th to the 9th.
Yeah.
I mean, that is quite a good lineup, isn't it? Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, Pearl Mackie, Peter Capaldi, and also the panel's going to include stars from Class, so they're going to be giving a bit of info on that at last.
Stephen Moffat's there, Brian Mitchell.
Oh, the Mothball's there,
producer. Yep. So it's a really good Doctor Who lineup.
It is.
And like you said, mate, I want to make this 100% crystal clear. This is absolutely not a dig at any of our US listeners or anything like that. That's great stuff for you guys. Really good. It's more about, it's more about just the complete lack of anybody at a decent UK convention. And I'm really surprised that the Showmasters guys have not sort of, because when anyone that's attended any of their events, if you go onto their forums or go to their Twitter account, there's always people saying, when are we going to get Matt Smith? We're not huge fans of her character, but there's also loads of demand for Jenna Coleman, Karen Gillan, Matt Smith, David Tennant.
David Tennant hasn't done anything for ages in the UK, has he?
But they're the most popular
he's a
ones,
busy chap, but yeah.
From who, they're the ones that get requested the most. So
let's not forget Christopher Eccleston.
Well,
actually, we love Chris, but we just know that there's more. I mean, literally, the only way you're going to get to meet Chris is if he does like another chat, like that audience thing he did recently, and he did a signing and photo thing after. That's the only time. You're never going to get him at a convention.
Probably not.
But David Tennant, I mean, I'd love to see him do something, because I know he's a busy guy and he gets loads of work still in that, Broadchurch and stuff. So I understand he's probably filming a lot of the time. But yeah, come on. Let's just one day in the year, surely. Yeah.
It's a shame. It really is a shame. But yes, anyway, New York Comic Con, really good Doctor Who lineup.
Yeah, great. And if you do go, just one last thing, if you do go, do post some pictures, because although we're incredibly jealous, we'd love to see some pictures. No doubt we'll be going through Twitter, looking at everyone's photos with Matt and Peter going, playing the Rant jingle on a loop. Anyway, in other news, oh dear, more bad news. Heaven Sent was up for a Hugo Award recently. I think we talked about it.
We did.
Didn't we? Yep. A couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, it didn't win. It was beaten by Jessica Jones. Is that the one that David Tennant's in?
It is, yes.
Yes, yeah. So it was beaten by that. Apparently, the final episode of Jessica Jones was more deserving of it. So that's sad news. I was looking earlier, actually, because Doctor Who has won in the past. So previous episodes that have won a Hugo Award include The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances, which is personally, I think, an absolutely cracking two-parter.
Yep.
Girl in the Fireplace, another good story. They're all the Moth, aren't they?
Yep.
Blink, another Moth one, that won it. Waters of Mars, absolutely fantastic episode, that won it. Pandorica Opens, The Big Bang. Can't really remember. I think they were all right. Can't remember much about them.
Actually. Yep.
And the hugely overrated The Doctor's Wife. Now, I know a lot of people love The Doctor's Wife, but I've that won as well. Listen got nominated, but didn't win.
That was last year, wasn't it?
Last year, yeah. So this joins Listen in getting close, but no cigar.
No cigar. It's a bit of a shame, that one, but. A deserving winner, I think. Anyone that's not watched Jessica Jones, it's worth it just to see David Tennant play a really good bad guy.
Yeah, he does bad guy quite well, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost too well. Yeah.
But I thought it sounded like you were bigging us up for something then.
What's that?
As you know, we spoke about it. Doctor Who, Heaven Sent, has been nominated for a Hugo Award, and it didn't win.
No.
Anyways, moving on. Some more sad news. It's not a good day for news, is it?
It's not a good day for news.
Sadly, those of you who enjoyed our review of the War Games would have heard us talk about one of the characters in particular, who's a bit of comes across as a bit of a crazy loose cannon.
Yes, that's a good word. Yeah, loose cannon
character. So I think it's in the latter stages. So I think episodes 7 through to 10, I think he appears in, something like that. And those of you who have seen the War Games would of course know that we're talking about the crazy Mexican Civil War soldier who pops up and is very he's like I said, a loose cannon stuff. So the gentleman that played him, Michael Napier Brown, has unfortunately passed away. So and he died at the age of 79, which is really sad, because one of the more sort of light-hearted characters from the War Games sort of brings a bit of a smile to your face whenever you're watching scenes with him.
And he sticks in your mind as well, doesn't he? Because I remember when we were doing a review, we was like saying about, hey, they're all about the crazy Mexican guy and all that. So his performance definitely stays with you, you know, even though perhaps he was not one of the major characters in it, but you know, he definitely stays in the mind.
He absolutely does, yeah. And you know, a little bit of a Doctor Who tie-in. He was he discovered the child actor who went on to play Adrian Mole. But along with Adrian Mole, he also played the Whiz Kid, annoying character in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, the geeky guy,
the geeky little kid.
Don't know how you say his name. Gian Sammarco or something.
Sammarco, yeah. So he basically, you know, discovered this guy, little kid, and went on to be the annoying little boffin in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. But yes, Michael Napier Brown unfortunately passes away at the age of 79.
Yeah. Yep. Right, let's move on from this sad news.
Let's move on.
Let's get these Daleks in and see what merch they've got us today.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Pop Funkos.
Pop
Funkos. We like the odd Funko, don't we?
We do. Yes. Yeah. I've gone into Funko rehab though, because I have just had to stop buying them.
Gone into Funko rehab.
I really have, because I was as if I've been about the other week and there was loads in there that I wanted. They had a brilliant Ming the Merciless. I was like, because there was a time I'd just go in and as soon as I saw one that I even remotely liked, I'd get it. And I've had to stop that now because I've just got loads of the blimmin' things, and they remind me of what's the adipose episode called? You know, the adipose when they're crawling along the street and there's millions of them.
Oh yeah.
My bedroom's starting to look like that, but with Funko Pops, there's just too many of them. So I've stopped buying them, apart from the Doctor Who ones, pretty much. I love them, but there's just so many good ones out there, aren't there?
There's loads. And I've stopped buying them as well. I only get, you know, some of the Doctor Who ones now as well.
Yeah.
But there's a really cool offer on at the moment. So the website iwantoneofthose.com or iWoot.
Sounds like you were saying, I want one.
Oh. There's you can do a really cool offer. No, that's not right. There is a really cool offer on where you can get 3 Pop Funkos for 20 quid.
That is pretty good, actually. It's what they normally $8 or $9.99. Depends where you get them. Actually, they really vary in price, don't they?
Yes. Well, the cheapest you'll get them is probably $10.99 or $9.99. But a lot of the Doctor Who ones are normally 13 quid normally.
Yeah.
So you can get 3 for 20. So you're effectively getting, well, roughly it's like buy 2, get a third free. But it's slightly better than that because some of them, like we said, are a bit more than that. So it's a really good offer. So iwantoneofthose.com. And if you do, there's a little sort of advert badge thing on the homepage, and there's also in the navigation just under the search it says 3 for £20. So if you just sort of bung your mouse on that, give it a click, then you get presented with a load of pages, and you have to cycle through them. But they have got some cool ones on there. They've got the Fourth Doctor still on there. They've got the little Cyberman pop, which I've got, which is really good. Cute. They've got Weeping Angel. They've got Captain Jack. They've got River Song. There's loads on there. There's the standard 11th Doctor still on there. Sarah Jane.
She's good.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
K9 on there?
I'm not sure about K9. I haven't seen him yet.
No.
But anyway, there's loads on there. There's still quite a few Doctor Who figures on there. 3 for £20. It's a really good deal.
It is a good deal. Actually, there is one Funko Pop that I saw that you got recently that I must admit I would really like. You got the alien from the X-Files, didn't you? Which I know you've been after for ages. Where did you get him in the end? Oh, there he is. He's holding him up, listeners.
Yes. There's a shop that's just opened up at the Westfield Shopping Centre at Stratford in London.
Oh, right.
And it's called Millennia. I think it's either Millennia or Millennium. And it's completely random. Hadn't seen it there before. It's like quite hidden away. It hasn't got sort of any big lights in the window. The only reason why I went in there is because in the window they've got a massive life-size Iron Man all lit up in the window. And I thought, ooh, Iron Man. So I had a look in, and they've got loads of Pop Funkos in there, loads of Doctor Who stuff, Star Wars, the whole lot. And they just do, collectibles and bags and T-shirts and all that stuff. And I found him in there. He was the only one left as well. So he's very popular little figure. But yes, the X-Files, little alien dude.
He's brilliant. Yeah, I bet you're well pleased, because I do remember you saying ages ago that you wanted to try and find him. And he seemed to, like a lot of Funko, some of them, they come out and they seem to just be around forever, and every time you go in a shop, they're there. And other ones, you see them, and then they disappear, and you never see them again. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you managed to finally find him.
Yeah.
He is one I would like, yeah.
Yeah, just very quickly, they've also got Rose, the 12th Doctor Standard, the Silence,
yeah.
9th Doctor Vinyl. They got quite a few on there. So if you haven't picked up any Pop Funkos yet, that's a good one.
Okay, talking of offers, Lavazi, who are a great company that produce Doctor Who replica clothing like jumpers and scarves and things. They've got a 15% off offer going on at the minute. We've both got quite a bit of their products, haven't we? Like you haven't got this one, but I've got it. The 7th Doctor ? Jumper, which I really think you ought to get. now that you're getting into the McCoy era, it's a beauty. But they do like the Tom Baker scarf. They do the season 18 Tom Baker scarf. What else they do? Peter Davison jumper. They do loads of Doctor Who stuff. Question mark umbrella, I think they've got. So it's worth going onto their website and having a look. And you can use the code. It's in capitals, I think. Who15 during checkout to get 15% off. So if you've been sort of eyeing up, that question mark jumper for a while, and you want to finally get it, now's a good time. Their stuff is really good, actually. I love all my Doctor Who stuff. I don't often wear it out. I wore my 4th Doctor scarf to the convention, but I've got this thing of sort of keeping it, sort of wear it at home, but I don't want it to get ruined, because I really like that stuff. Whereas some people buy it, they just wear it every time you see him. So, yeah. I might dish out the question mark jumper next time we meet McCoy.
Their stuff is very good. One of the best things that I own, actually, is my my 4th Doctor scarf. Now, bear in mind, they do 3 different versions of it.
Yeah, you've got the huge one, haven't you?
Huge one, yes. They do one which is a really short version, Then they did one that was the full length one. And then they brought out the second one, which was like actual screen proper length.
And it was much more screen accurate in colour.
Yeah, the colours we have. And that's honestly one of the nicest things that I own of all like the Doctor Who merch that we've got. That I've got, sorry, it's one of the nicest. The quality is just amazing, and it's absolutely spot on. And it's also, this is quite a good website for the ladies as well, because there's quite a few scarves on there and stuff like that. So it's really worth checking out. 15%.
Yeah, it is. It's good. I was going to say, I love the scarf you've got. I bought the sort of slightly shorter one, which is not a screen accurate, but still looks really nice. The only reason I didn't buy the long one is because I'm so short. If I bought that thing, it would wrap me up. I'd be like a mummy. out of like Pyramids of Mars. You know, you'd never see me again if I put that thing on. But it's a beauty, isn't it?
It's really cool. Yeah,
it's really good.
Very
so
good.
yeah, 15% off if you see anything on there you like. Give you that code again. Who15.
Who15. Cool.
Yeah, great stuff.
And that's going to do for news and merch.
Okay.
Right, Adam, hold on. Oh, excuse me. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
it's really hot as well
Open the
today.
TARDIS window.
Get those TARDIS doors open. Oh. What are we reviewing this week, buddy?
We are reviewing the 9th Doctor story, or episode, I should say, Aliens of London.
Yesterday saw the start of a brave new world. Today might see it end.
Hi, you want aliens? You've got them. They're inside Downing Street.
Planet Earth is at war.
Everybody run! Who exactly are the Slitheen?
They're aliens.
I could save the world but lose you.
Ooh.
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 Yeah.
Aliens of London, the first of a two-part... That's going to be a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first of a two-parter in the Eccleston series. It came out in 2005, no less, as we all know, in April.
Wow,
which seems like a lifetime ago now.
It does.
It was 45 minutes, as we all know and love, from Modern Who. It's written by RTD, Russell T Davies, and it was produced by Phil Collinson, directed by Keith Boak.
Oh, okay. Don't know him, but we're talking about him. Great direction.
While we've name dropped him.
Yeah. Keith Boak. Has he come back? Has he done any... Just not a name I know. Has he done any other Who? Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, he's done 3 episodes all in all of Doctor Who. Yes, he directed obviously this one and the second.
Oh yeah, part 2. Yeah. World War 3. Yeah.
And he also did another one, I believe.
Yeah, it does say 3, but I can't see what it was either.
He's done 3.
Yeah.
He's done 3.
We'll never know what the third one was. But anyway, yeah, so before we get into whether we like it or not on the story, I will just say I thought the direction was good, as we've name dropped him.
Yes, indeed. Right, so off the bat, buddy, before we get into some detail, what do you reckon?
Well, I said earlier, there is no episode in Eccleston's series, the first series, whatever you want to call it, that I can't quite happily sit and be entertained by and enjoy. So I enjoy this one. It's entertaining, but I do think it's one of those ones that's there are a lot better episodes in series 1. So yeah, it's not great. Watching it again yesterday for the first time in a very long time, there's certainly a lot in there that I enjoyed, but there was also quite a lot where it just wasn't great.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I'm going to say, without sitting on the fence, I'm going to say a bit of a mixed bag. But yeah, it's enjoyable enough. But it's not one of the stronger episodes of episode 1. Yeah, still entertaining though. So
right,
yeah, average, I suppose I would say. Average.
Okay.
What about you?
What about me? I will say that I really like this one. I really like it.
Do you? Okay.
I do, yes. I think it's just a real fun. It's a real fun adventure for me. I know a lot of people view it as a very, well, not a very, but one of the more almost childish stories, especially with the toilet humour and, you know, just the wackiness of it, you know, at times. But I've just, something about it, I just really like it. I think it's a really good story setup, you know, with the Doctor and Rose having to deal with Rose's mum and the disappearance of Rose and all that stuff at the beginning. And then literally something that I just love about Doctor Who is bang, out of nowhere, a spaceship comes crashing through London. And then we have the whole bit with the news, you know, the world news covering it and stuff. And before you know it, we're just on this sort of thrill ride into, you know, what's going on. There's pigs running around and
space pig
and all stuff. Yeah, so I really like it. It's just one of those, I just get lost in it. I just love the whole adventure mystery aspect of it. And then, it's just good old fashioned, aliens in human suits. And, not the greatest design, I would say, from, a Doctor Who monster or whatever, but it's still a fun, really good, entertaining watch for me. I really like it. Yeah,
I can appreciate that. I certainly found it a lot more fun to watch than I was expecting, because I think in my sort of memory of it, and it's easy to sort of mix up the two episodes, because I don't know yet. I haven't watched part 2 yet, World War 3. I was very, very tempted at the end of this, but I thought, no, I'll leave it till we do the review. So I haven't watched part 2 yet. I have a feeling a lot of the stuff that I'm remembering being bad and cringy is in the second part, and I might be wrong, because I just really can't remember. It's been so long since I've watched this two-parter. But one thing I did find when I watched this last night was how much I was enjoying it. I just, because I wasn't really enthused to put it on. I have to be honest with you. When we said we were going to review it, I initially just thought straight away, oh, farting aliens, a drawn out two-parter, and I wasn't really that enthused to sort of get watching it. But when I did put it on, I just found myself sitting there really quite, like you said, quite actually engrossed in it. I thought the first 20 minutes were really good. I really, really liked the sort of first 20 minutes of it, with the concept of them coming back thinking they've been 12 hours and it being 12 months, which it's bizarrely, I don't think it's ever been done in Doctor Who before. And it seems such an obvious, because it does make you think, well, what does happen to the people that are left behind when a companion goes off? Like, they must notice that she's gone. So that was quite interesting, and I thought that was a really nice thing to pick up on. Yeah. And I love all the stuff with Rose's mum and that. And then obviously, like you said, the spaceship crashing through Big Ben into the Thames. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So yeah, first 20 minutes of this, I was sat there thinking, wow, what, this is much better than I remember. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really going along with the ride here. And then it did start to slightly fall apart for me after that. I think, to be honest with you, I think as soon as the aliens started farting and that joke carried on, I did start to think, no, it's gone a bit silly. But it wasn't enough to ruin it. I still quite enjoyed it. But yeah, first 20 minutes I thought were great. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, cool. Oh, just quick recap on the plot. It's very simple, this one. The Doctor, so Rose has been away travelling. So before this one, so we had the Unquiet Dead. So at the end of Rose, she ends up, giving Mickey a kiss goodbye, and then she's off in the TARDIS. And then she's been up in the space station witnessing the end of the world from the episode, The End of the World. And then they went back in time and they did the Unquiet Dead. Was that a Mark Gatiss?
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. And now we're here at Aliens of London. So she's done a lot in that short space of time. So the plot is the Doctor's now bringing her back, because I assume that she just wants to see her mum. And the Doctor thinks that she's only been away, was it 12 hours?
I think so,
12
yeah.
minutes?
Yeah.
12 hours, I believe.
12 hours, yeah.
But he's made a bit of a boo-boo. Like the Doctor always, he's terrible with time. So in that space of time that they've been away, she's actually been gone a year. So 12 months instead of 12 hours. So it's like the broken clock thing.
Yeah, a broken clock.
We're going to have a clip of that, aren't we?
I love it. Yeah, we do.
And so Jackie, as in, obviously very panicky. There's missing posters up. She's been reported missing, all that stuff. They blame Mickey, poor Mickey.
Poor old Mickey.
Jackie pointed the finger at Mickey while she was away.
Accused him bumping her off.
Yeah, pretty much. But then this is sort of getting somewhat cleared up. Rose is being very elusive to her mum. She's not telling her mum who the Doctor is or where they've gone, why they've gone, anything like that. And then just as you're sort of getting into that initial part of the story, like I said, bang, the spaceship comes down. But then we find out that the spaceship was already there. This is a bit of a decoy. In the meantime, the Slitheen have sort of taken over a couple of members of Parliament in their bid to sort of take over the planet. And now the Doctor's been called upon to help out, because they've put the word TARDIS into like this search algorithm. It's flagged up, so now he's been called in. And then, yes, now it's up to him to stop the Slitheen. In the meantime, we have Harriet Jones, MP for, is it Flydale North?
Flydale North or yes.
Clarkdale, Flydale.
She says it enough, we should know it. But yeah, Clivedale North, Flydale North. Flydale North, isn't it?
I thought it was Flydale.
Yeah, Flydale North.
Is it Flydale? Bear with us. Flydale.
Listeners will be screaming out at the thing now.
Yes.
It's Flydale.
It's this, isn't it? You stupid. Yeah. It is. We've got to do this now because that's going to annoy my OCD, isn't it? As well as yours. Flydale North.
There you go.
We were correct, yes. Flydale North. She's in the House of Parliament, but she's got like a different agenda. Like this, the way that the story kicks off in the first 15 minutes is the world is in shock. You know, the whole world is like we've witnessed, an alien ship and a supposed alien body being taken away from the craft. So this is like a massive turning point in the world's history because it's like we're not alone. There are, aliens exist, sort of thing. But she's just so concerned with like her little, constituents about, what's going on in her little tiny constituents. And, she's trying to get more budget, for better hospitals in this little area and stuff. Yeah. And she just really wants to get it in front of the Prime Minister and stuff. So she's got a different agenda, even though the world's going nuts. But she sort of gets dragged into it, doesn't she? Because while she's trying to do this, she goes into hiding. She witnesses the Slitheen, and then like she takes Rose, says she'll look after her, and they get caught up in it as well. So it's really cool, kind of sort of a couple of different storylines running through as well. Because along with the Slitheen, we've also got so Harriet Jones doing her thing. We've got the whole Mickey's doing his nut. He's unhappy with the Doctor, and Jackie, she's unhappy. So that's the story basically, and it all gets concluded, in World War III.
Yeah, I guess it's a good build-up. Actually, that's one thing I will say about this episode. It does build up nicely to what I consider to be quite a good cliffhanger. Actually, so as I said, it did. This is one of the questions I was going to ask you. Actually, is did it leave you wanting to watch the next episode? And I would say yes, it does, because I certainly did. I didn't watch it because I'm going to wait for the review, so it's fresh in my mind. But I certainly did want to click onto the next episode, which I think is always a good sign of a good cliffhanger. Yeah,
it's good.
And also, like I said, the direction I thought of this was very good as well. It really, the camera seems to be moving all the time, is what I noticed. It's like, like we sometimes said about very stilted shots and shooting point and all that.
Yeah.
This seems to be, it looks nice. The episode looks good, and like the shots of the spaceship coming through London and crashing in the Thames. I mean, we're talking over 10 years ago. And the graphics still stand up fairly well.
Yeah.
We've seen worse in the new series, so it still looked really good. I thought, considering it's 10 years ago, they're still finding their feet, and to what they achieved on screen, I think looks really good. And yeah, liked the direction. I thought it was nicely done. So
yeah, that was good.
Big plus point there.
Yeah, I've got a load of behind the scenes production photos. From this episode, and it's really great how they constructed a scale model of Big Ben.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
It's so detailed and it's great, and I've got a load of photos that sort of document the process, how they built it up and all that stuff, and they match the footage on the Thames almost perfectly, because they had this huge backdrop behind this scale model, and it was essentially just a cloudy, overcast day. And then when you watch the program, when you watch the scene of the with the CG shot of the spaceship flying towards Big Ben and stuff, it cuts from that. So basically it's just a camera flyover of London, isn't it? And then it cuts to the scene of the model and part of the ship crashing through, and then it goes back to the flyover when they've put a CG ship that crashes into the water and so on. They've matched them, the mood and the lighting and the clouds and everything perfectly between the model shot and the camera flyover shot.
Yeah, and it's things you probably wouldn't even sort of think of as well. Just little attention to detail. The ship, you sort of see it actually go into the water. So for a sort of split second, the camera follows it under. I think they've really sort of put the work in on that, and I think it would have been quite easy to have. I have a feeling nowadays they would have just literally just had a CGI shot of Big Ben being smashed, and I don't know if they'd have gone to the amount of effort that they did back then.
Yeah,
because
I
like you
can't
said,
imagine
building
they
this
would.
huge model of Big Ben for what is literally on screen for 2 or 3 seconds, that bit where it smashes through, isn't it? It's, to build that whole thing just for that. I think when they brought Doctor Who back, I think series 1, because Doctor Who, over the years up to that point, I think had become a bit of a laughing stock in terms of, it's got wobbly sets and all the spaceships are made of toilet rolls and washing up liquid bottles. I think they really wanted to prove people, show people this show is back. This show has been given a budget. The BBC believe in this. I really do think series 1 they gave it their all. And just this little tiny sequence shows that. I mean, I really think it looks good.
Yeah, it's great. And the thing I like about it is that when they had the bit of the ship as a model as well that crashes through Big Ben, what you're seeing is actual, a wooden model being blown to bits. And it's just, look, and you're right. I think if they were to do that now, it would all be CG, the whole lot. But
I just can't seem to go into that effort.
Yeah, there's just something about a physical, and that's the thing with this series as well. If you go back and watch something that comes to mind, if you watch the special features on disc 1 about the episode, the opening episode, Rose, there's a scene towards the end where they're in like this warehouse, aren't they, underneath the Thames, where the Nestine consciousness is, and he throws the sort of anti-plastic in.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Yeah, and then the whole warehouse starts to explode and all that stuff. There's a scene there where they actually rebuilt as a scale model the inside roofing area and everything of that warehouse, and they triggered off like proper explosions, and they mixed it with certain CG.
Yeah, and
so the idea was that they had some budget allocated to CG and some budget for model work. But when it's done correctly and you combine the two, it's a much more effective, on-screen visual effect than if you just did the whole thing with CG. And I think they tried to do that with some other things later on. I think what was the Ice Warrior episode with Matt Smith in the submarine?
Cold Ice, wasn't it?
Cold War.
Cold War. Yeah, Cold Ice.
Cold Ice.
That was a very exciting time.
Yeah, the submarine was a model in some shots. And that works really well. So they've tried to do it, but it is leaning, especially in the Capaldi stuff. It's very, very CG, stuff. So I'm not sure about any of our listeners how they feel about this, but when you have a physical prop that's been blown to crap, it does have a much better feel to it. And it's great. I'm not saying that, just obliterate, all the CG stuff, because it does have a place and it does work. But when you can find that sweet spot between like live models and stuff like that and CG, and you can make them work well together, I think that's a much better result.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, it's CG. The problem is we've become so used to CGI that we just instantly pick up on it, I think, a lot of the time. Whereas if it's mixed with a model shot as well, sometimes it just helps to blend it in a bit. Because otherwise you just sit there thinking, oh, well, that's green screen. That's CGI. Do you know what I mean? We've become so used to how things are made. I suppose that's one of the things. I mean, I love like behind the scenes like shows and stuff, but it does take away the magic a little bit. But it's good stuff.
Yeah, it was all good stuff. And like you said, direction, really cool direction in this one.
I thought it was good. Yeah.
There was never a scene where you were reaching for your phone. I don't know if anyone's ever done this sort of psychological thing where in your mind it's like, right, you sort of based on instinct, that because we're so used to how TV and films are edited and directed and so on, there's sort of like this instinct thing in your head that your brain knows when a scene is going to be a little bit slow or something. So you instantly reach for your phone, to get Facebook or Twitter up while this is on. But I didn't find that watching this. Because every scene is fairly short and choppy, and it all sort of paces well together as you go through the episode. The only couple of times where it sort of got a little bit not long at all, not laggy in any way, was where Rose and the Doctor are up on the roof talking just before the spaceship sort of crashes down. Which is a nice scene anyway.
I think, I suppose that because I thought that, but then I guess the attention is it's so that, because that is a great moment actually, because they're like saying, I think they're sort of being very blasé and like, after all the excitement, we're just chilling out now. And then all of a sudden, this great big spaceship goes over them, and the Doctor. This is what I love about Chris's Doctor as well, is he's not like, oh, what the hell? Oh my God, we're being invaded. He's like absolutely loving it. He's like, wow, a spaceship in London. This is fantastic. And you're like, he's just enthralled by it, and that's what I love about Chris's Doctor.
And that's he's like a kid in a sweet shop.
Yeah, it's all exciting to him. Yeah,
it's great. So I would say, production-wise, very, very good. Even for its time, back in 2005, in my opinion, some of the scenes, the effects and so on, and the direction are a lot better than what we've seen in Series 8 and 9.
Yeah, I think it's very good. I think there is just the only shot that sticks in my mind as being even remotely sort of laughable is just the very last shot, sadly, of the Slovene. It just looks a bit rubbery where he's going, I can't remember what he's saying now, because it's almost as if he's still talking when the credits kick in. It's almost as if they thought, we need to chop that because it looks a bit dodgy. But it's the very last shot. He kind of looks a bit like a wobbly, rubbery puppet. And that's the only bit where I thought, no, that's a shame. Because you were saying about the design of the Slovene, I quite like them. They are a bit cuddly for a monster, but I like that because it's deceiving. Because you wouldn't want to cuddle a Slovene, but you might be tempted.
Yeah, huge claws.
Huge claws, huge eyes, big lump of green monster. I quite like the design of them. I think they're quite a nice new series monster. But they're just a bit cuddly, I think. They got that weird thing on the neck though, which I always think is a good thing because they're not wearing anything, are they? They're not like a sea devil. They don't have a string vest to hide their modesty. They're pretty much wearing nothing bar this, which I think comes into play in part 2. I can't remember. They got this thing around their neck, haven't they?
Oh, the translator.
I can't remember what it is. Yeah. Oh, is that what it is? Translator. Yeah.
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 They look okay.
What do you think of the zip thing though? Because I find that odd.
It's one of those things where you just have to go with it. I think it's
because I'm thinking they've got a suit that looks 100% like a human that they're replicating, but it's just I haven't. It doesn't. It's one of those things. Like I said, you got to go with it because if you think about it too much, it's a little bit ridiculous. That, but anyway, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, you can overthink that stuff at times. If you sit there and pick at the details and you're like, well, how these things are like 7-8 feet tall.
Yeah.
How can they fold themselves up and, compact themselves into a human suit? And, how are they disguising the zip and all that stuff? If you pick at the details too much, you can sort of...
It falls apart.
Yeah, and you sort of lose enjoyment then because you've pulled it apart so much. So we do, listeners would certainly agree that we've done that quite a few times with certain things in episodes where we've been like, well... No, because if that happened, then that couldn't happen. So we're guilty of it, quite a few times, quite a lot. However, I think in circumstances like this, where the episode is just meant to be a fun adventure, I think you've got to just got to go with it. Just realise that yes, they're sort of compacting themselves down into a human suit, zipped up at the top. Then that's it. There's nothing else you can really go with, unless you start picking it apart, I guess. But.
And the reason that they fart, the reason they're farting aliens is to do with the compression of the suit. Is that right?
Yes, the gas exchanges while they're...
Yeah, because that is the thing that, I don't know. How do you feel about the farting alien thing? Because it is a joke that wears a bit thin for me personally. The best use of it is when the Doctor turns around and says, do you mind not farting while I'm trying to save the world? Yeah. Now, that's brilliant. Yeah. If they'd have just had that one gag... I think that would have been fine, but it does get... I thought even in this part, I don't know how much they fart in episode 2, I can't remember. But in this one, I was thinking, oh, no. It is something that sticks in your mind when you think of this episode. But it's, again, not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, it's not... The only one scene that I thought overdid it a wee bit was when...
I'm shaking my booty.
Yeah. That scene, and there's the three of them, and there's the army general guy. In the room just before they sort of take him out and they use him as a suit as well. They're all at it. There's about 5 minutes. Well, there's about a minute where they're all just farting constantly and so that's a bit overdone. It's a bit. You almost want to say to Russell T Davies that we get it.
Yeah.
The joke's done. we understand, you know, it's we get that they fart a lot. So that's a bit forced, I found. You know, they really want to hammer home the joke. So, and then, but it sort of redeems itself a little bit, like you say, that line that the Doctor drops, you know, do you mind not farting? I don't know, it's funny. It's a funny line, but.
Bizarre thing here. Can you remember? I don't remember Margaret Slevine, or Margaret Blaine, whatever she is. I can't remember her farting in Boomtown. Did they phase it out, or does she? Is it just that I've forgotten? Because we reviewed Boomtown not that long ago, and I don't remember talking about farting.
That's a good question. I can't remember if she does or not.
I don't think she does. I don't know. I might have to go back and watch it.
I don't think she does, you know.
No, I just wondered if they sort of watched this and I don't know whether they sort of thought, no, we don't need it. Don't need that. Anyway, let's move away from the farting.
From the farting.
Yeah.
What did you think to this whole concept then of because I thought it was quite clever, the way that they did, because the Doctor figures it out in the TARDIS, doesn't he? The spaceship was already on Earth and then it just did a slingshot around and, you know, crashed again. So they've already been here for a while. And the body, you know.
What's the thing with the space pig? So it's like they've mutilated it. So it's a pig that they've...
Yeah, essentially.
To make it look like an alien.
Yeah, it's like a big decoy, isn't it? So the body that they see, you know, on the news reports when they see a body being taken from the ship in the Thames, it's the pig, because the Doctor scientist does like tests on it and all that stuff. And I thought that was quite a good way of getting them into the story, because it would have been very easy just to have, you know, as we saw it, you know, a spaceship crash and stuff like that. And it would have been the Slitheen in the ship that get taken out and then they just kill a few soldiers and then off they go.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea of throwing in that sort of decoy initial story. And the pig, because it does make... I remember when I very first watched this episode, I thought, what? What's with the pig?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't look like an alien. That's not... What's going on here? This has gone a bit weird. But then once you've seen a bit further forward and stuff like that, and the Doctor explains it, then you also feel sorry for the pig as well.
Oh, I know, when he's shot.
Yeah.
Sad.
And the Doctor's really heartfelt. You know, he's not happy at all with that soldier, is he?
No.
Because he's basically... That's a little dig, really, isn't it? From Russell T Davies, I would say that's like a little dig at just human nature, and you know.
But it's I like it though, because it's probably true. It's probably the sort of thing that would happen. No, I love Space Pig. It's sad when he gets shot, and he looks pretty good. They keep him off screen, like they show the bare minimum of him, don't they?
Yeah.
You really have to. Like blink and you'd miss him. But if you do see, I mean, I've seen like the face mask and that I did for him. It's actually pretty good. I think they should have had a bit more guts and just shown him just a fraction more, because he actually looks quite good, Space Pig, in terms of the prosthetics or whatever, however you say it.
Yeah.
You know, the face mask, and that's pretty decent for him. And we also get to see Tosh from Torchwood.
Oh yes, yeah, the scientist.
Is Tosh in it? Yeah, Tosh. Yeah, playing the scientist, Dr. Sato. So that was quite nice. I completely forgotten that she was in it. So it's like when she popped up, I was like, "What's Tosh doing in here?" You know. So that's quite good. She's sort of is she dissecting the space pig, or what? She's sort of looking after it anyway. She's
done scans and all that stuff, trying to figure out what it is essentially. But yeah, I mean, I do like the space pig. And one of the things that I noticed actually is in my notes here is that little scene where the little piggy sort of legs away and the Doctor chases after it.
Yeah.
And the soldier shoots it and the Doctor reacts that way. He's like, it was scared, you know. To me, that's sort of... Russell Davies was quite clever with that, because that sort of enforces a message that runs through the Eccleston series, and that is the Doctor, a lot of the time, just views the human race as just a bunch of apes. You know, another stupid ape.
Yeah.
And that's his thing. You know, he's like, and the way that the soldier reacts, you can tell in his face, he doesn't really think about anything. He doesn't take anything into consideration. He just sees this thing running towards him that he doesn't understand. Pulls his gun out and shoots it.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's reaction is, why did you do that? You know, it was scared. So it just reinforces the fact that the Doctor is this sort of higher level of understanding. and intelligence, and the human race is still at that point where he views them as just
don't understand something, will eradicate it. Yeah. Which I agree with you there, because it makes, it reaffirms the thing that it's the same character. Like John Pertwee's Doctor did that with the Silurians. He tried to tell the human race that you can work together and you don't need to just blow something up because you don't understand it. So yeah, I like that as well. I've just had a quick look on Wiki. I'm wondering if she's supposed to be the same character actually, because in this episode, I'm talking about Tosh from Torchwood. She's called Dr. Sato in this episode, in the credits. And obviously in Torchwood, she's Toshiko Sato. So maybe, is it supposed to be the same character or maybe a relative or something? Because they did that a lot when they used the same actor, didn't they? They sort of said, oh yeah, my sister worked at Torchwood Towers or whatever. And I think they did it with Gwen as well in The Unquiet Dead. They sort of said, oh, you haven't got a relative, blah blah blah. So I don't know if it's supposed to be the exact same character or a relative, but yeah, it's good to see her in there anyway.
Yeah, I think it is the same character.
Yeah, well, that's good. Didn't realise that.
Yeah, it's cool. So Space Piggy meets a gruesome end.
He does.
Yes. Yeah. Rightio, let's talk about yes, I mean the story itself, which we've covered, is have you got anything else to say on the story side of things? It's
I think you've summed it up. You just got, if you're just looking for a story to sit and enjoy, and I'll tell you one thing that I did think about this one is that I think it's one the whole family can enjoy, which I don't want to start banging on about comparing how good Doctor Who used to be to the new series, blah, blah, blah. But I do feel this is something we've lost. I couldn't help but feel that watching it. So thinking this has got a feel to it that we don't have anymore. Like, the whole family could find something to enjoy in this. It's, it's a bit silly, whatever, but it was definitely enjoyable. So that's all I've really got to say about the story. I think there is a part of that we've slightly lost over the years. Things have become a bit too serious, story arcs, blah, blah, blah. Whereas I think, you could quite happily just sit down and be entertained by this and just don't think too much into it. I think you could enjoy it. So story-wise, I thought it was all right.
I completely agree with you, mate. Because after I finished watching this one, and I've got it written here in my notes, I wrote in my notebook, why can't we have more of this in Doctor Who today?
Yeah.
And my feeling on it is, and I hate pointing fingers, but the Moff has just written in certain characters with so much gravitas and so much weight that the show just buckles under its, under the pressure of the amount of stuff that he's. Let's take Clara for example. Where was I? I was at a family thing. I can't remember what it was. A family do, like the Mrs. Family something. And I got talking to a couple of people, and we were talking about TV and so on. We got into Doctor Who, and they had said to me that they used to watch it years ago, but they'd sort of fallen out of the loop and they didn't really know what was going on. And when they said, so what's going on at the moment? Because one of them said, I was quite excited when Peter Capaldi was cast as the Doctor. So what's going on in the show now? And I'm not exaggerating. I must have spent, at the amount of time that we spent speaking about Doctor Who, I spent 2/3 of that time explaining who Clara was, what she, her impact on what happened with the show here and what happened here, and the Doctor's had to save her here and she's had to do that. And all this stuff. And when you have to do that, you can't have really adventurous episodes like this one, because Rose hadn't developed at this point into like the, dare I say it, romantic aspect.
Yeah.
At this point, we're too early in the series yet. We haven't really got into that, will they, won't they, are they, aren't they? All that stuff yet. So it was still a fairly light-hearted, just adventure.
Yeah, it's adventure and it's relatable, isn't it? Like you've got Rose's mum, Jackie. You can totally relate to her and how she reacts to the Doctor. Yeah. You've got Mickey, the boyfriend. You can totally relate to him and how he's feeling. They're characters you care about, and it's situations that you can see yourself in. Like just simple things like the people having street parties and welcome to our planet banners and stuff that you think, that's the sort of thing we would do if aliens landed. We'd all go and get drunk and, it'd be one big party because that's what we're like as human. So, there's a lot of fun an adventure
Yeah.
in series 1.
Yes.
That I totally see where you come from. Whereas we've moved down a sort of more arc-led, like you said, well, let's not get started on Clara, but I know where you're coming from. You try and explain all that to somebody, and they're just going to be like, what? You know. Whereas if you sat down and said, oh yeah, this is about a group of fighting aliens that have invaded Earth, and it's just simple.
It's simple storytelling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Simple writing.
Yeah.
And can you imagine trying to do this episode now with the Doctor and Clara?
No.
Or if we rewind back a series and try and do this now with the Doctor and Clara, because inevitably we'd have to have a scene where at some point, thousands of years ago, Clara in another point in her life would have, lent on a button that forced a Slovene spaceship out into space, and it would have circled round, and it would have been Clara's fault. But then Clara redeemed it somehow in one of the Doctor's, future adventures in his time stream. And you just couldn't do it, could you?
No, it's definitely got its own different feel to it. Yeah, and one which I prefer. Yeah, I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, actually.
Yeah, Chris Chibnall, please, just rewatch a lot of the RTD stuff and just bring us back just the fun,
adventure.
Just adventure to Doctor Who, and just get away from all this bogged down of writing so much pressure on characters and massive story arcs and all that. Let's just get back to fun Doctor Who, where everyone in the family can sit down and have a laugh, be scared, be enthralled. Let's just get back to that.
That's one thing I did love about this, actually, is that when you get, because I think some people will say about the pacing being a bit all over the place, perhaps, but what I liked was we had quite some silly scenes, humorous scenes, which you will or will not enjoy, whatever. But when they did turn nasty at the end, I thought, oh yeah, this is good. We've gone from being a comedy quip from the Doctor about farting aliens to suddenly it's all kicking off, and Jack is trapped in the kitchen with a policeman who's about to turn into a Slovene, and the Slovenes are all coming out now, and it's turned a bit scary, just a little bit scary. And it was good contrast, I thought, then, to having humour to going dark again and a bit of excitement. And I thought that worked really well in it.
Really cool. Just a couple of scenes that are really good before we get on to characters. The scene in Jackie's flat where just progressively more and more people just pile in, and the Doctor's trying to watch the news and trying to keep up with what's going on. There's like a kid in his lap, and and he's shoves him across, and then he's frowning all the time because such an important part of human history is unfolding before their eyes, and they're all just off gossiping about so and so down the road, and that's a great scene,
a lovely scene. And you've got a quick scene of them making a cake on Blue Peter of a spaceship. It's just lovely little scenes. Lovely little bit of writing.
And then there's a real funny scene where Mickey doesn't realise that Rose is back, and he's out on the balcony. You can see the TARDIS disappear, and then he runs down and he's like smashes into the wall, and then he goes back up to see Rose. He's like, what are you doing? And he's really angry.
And his face when he walks in, because she hasn't even gone to see him, and she's like obviously got caught up in events and forgotten about him unintentionally.
Poor Mickey.
You can, but again, you can totally relate that look that they give each other when he walks in, he's furious, and she's like, oh no, I forgot about you. And it's like, again, it's just so relatable that you're like, oh dear, poor old Mickey.
Some good stuff. And then when they're outside and Rose is like, where's it? She's confused why the Doctor's run off, the TARDIS is gone, and Mickey's just really playing up to it. He's like, you've been dumped.
Loves it, doesn't he? Yeah, you've been dumped.
And the Jack is like, what's going on? Where's this Doctor? And he's like, he's vamoosed. He's he's off. And then he comes back, and then that really funny banter between the Doctor and Mickey, and he keeps calling him Ricky, doesn't he?
Ricky, yeah.
And it's winding him up, and it's just great. It's really good character writing. It's just funny, but it's not quite funny from a certain perspective. If you're Mickey, you get a rough ride when you're this first series, because Rose basically doesn't give a crap about you. She just forgets about you. She just runs off with some other guy and stuff, and then the guy that she runs away with just constantly digging at you and winding you up and stuff. So he gets a real rough ride, doesn't he?
He does.
It's
And
funny.
Rose gets a TARDIS key as well, doesn't she? In this, which again I'd forgotten about. That nice little moment. The Doctor says, "Oh, I think you've earned one of these by now." That's quite nice. And I love Jackie as well when she comes in the TARDIS and you don't know what's going to happen with Jackie, do you? Because I again had forgotten. So long ago. So I thought she kicked off, but she doesn't. She just sort of takes in the situation and suddenly gets really scared about what her daughter has got herself involved in, hasn't she? She's like, what is going on here? So that again was just a really nice bit of writing because she really flips, and that's something that would happen, isn't it? If you, if you were Jackie and you saw your daughter in this crazy world, you'd be scared, wouldn't you? You'd be like, what have you got yourself into? So it's a great scene.
It's really good, and there's lots of little scenes like that. They're very good in this episode. If you've not seen it for a while, and then you watch it again, you think, oh yeah, I've forgotten how cool that bit is or how good that bit is.
Yeah, I totally had. Honestly, I wasn't bothered about watching this story at all. I have to be completely honest. I wasn't dreading it, but it was just like I kept thinking, right, I better give that a watch then. And there's loads of scenes in it like this that I was just like, this is really good. I can't believe I'd forgotten this. Yeah.
It's good stuff. It is good. Right, some characters. Characters,
quite a few in this.
Yeah, so we've spoken about the scientist, Sato, Dr. Sato. Very genuinely scared and intrigued about what's going on.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good because, again, very easy. Just have someone like, yep, here's the lab results. It's this. But she's genuinely quite creeped out by this pig thing that's been sort of engineered by the Slitheen.
I like that scene, actually, when she's like, it's escaped. And then the Doctor realises, actually, it's still in the room with them. And at this point, we don't know that Space Pig is harmless. For all we know, it could be about to rip their head off. So that's a good scene, I thought. Like you said, she looks genuinely scared and the Doctor's genuinely intrigued by all. So that's a good scene.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Then we have the fake members of Parliament / army / police. So the Slitheen characters when they're in human form. So we have let's talk about the guy that plays, he eventually gets Prime Minister duty, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That guy is called, is it Jack Talton?
I don't know, because I didn't catch his name in this. I'm not sure which he was, actually, because there's him and then there's sort of the
no, Jack is the news reporter.
Oh, he's the news reporter.
Because we have two news reporters, don't we? We have this guy called Tom Hitchingson, played by Jack Talton. He's like the BBC, the British news reporter who actually gets from the Thames to the infirmary.
I noticed that.
He gets there in splits,
in the time it took them to make a cake on Blue Peter, he managed to get. Yeah, I noticed that as well.
No, it's not the Blue Peter guy.
No, I know, but I'm saying, in the scene where he's switches to him making the cake, he switches back and he's already there, and I thought, God, he got there quick. Yeah,
very sorry. Yes, he gets so he's like on the Thames, literally. I know the hospital is meant to be quite close to the Thames, but flipping out, like the whole news crew are there in like half a second. And then we've got the policeman that goes round to Jackie's house.
I know that guy. I recognise him. He's been in loads of stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah, Keris Jones. He's had loads of very small parts.
He was in that Big School thing with Catherine Tate and David Williams as one of the teachers. But he's been in lots of little things, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Keris Jones anyway. Then the guy who plays the Prime Minister, what's his name? I'm going to take a stab at this and say that it was David Very.
Is it? I don't know.
I'm going to go with that anyway. I thought his character was really good. I thought that he just, and the one scene that makes me, because originally I just thought, he's just a very fun role just to play like a farting, character. But there's a scene at the end where the army general, General Asquith, is in the room with them, and he's like, "I'm relieving you of your duty as Prime Minister." and he looks up with this real creepy look at him. I don't know if you can recall that scene, but
yeah,
because they're all laughing and joking. They've done the whole "I'm shaking in my booty" thing and all that. They're having a laugh. He's like, "I'm relieving you of your duty," and then he looks up with this real horrible, creepy face, and I just thought, wow, this guy means business.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. That's what I meant earlier about the going from sort of comedy to suddenly being like, oh, this guy actually is quite scary. Yeah. So yeah, I thought he was quite decent actually.
Yeah. And then we've got the army general himself, who ends up, as a Slovene, General Asquith. I think that guy was called Rupert something.
Harriet Jones gets locked in a cupboard with his skin suit. Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought another good character. Playing it as written, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, he was all right. Yeah.
No theatrics there. Then we had Margaret Blaine.
Oh,
Annette Badland.
Yeah, I like her.
She's better in. I think she's because she has more to do in Boomtown. I prefer her in Boomtown.
Oh, she's much better in Boomtown.
She gives a great performance in that, but there's something really creepy about her face.
There is.
She's just got that face. No disrespect to Annette, she's got one of those faces that just creep me out. Even before this story, even before she popped up in this, she's just got one of those faces that just, I don't know, just really sinister, and like, what is going on behind that face? Even when she's smiling and being nice, it's like, no, something's not right there.
I do know what you mean. And also she's got the right hair to hide the zip. Because when when she looks evil, because she does sort of evil face acting quite well, doesn't she? She's like, right, I'm coming out now. Yeah, so I know what you mean about her, but there is something about her. She's obviously better in Boomtown because she gets more to do. But yeah, I just like her.
She's still cool.
Yeah.
Harriet Jones, played by Penelope Wilton.
Yeah.
What do you reckon to Harriet Jones? Because she's she obviously goes on to play quite an important role, especially in The Christmas Invasion, where she makes quite a rash decision that annoys the Doctor a lot.
That's right.
But at this point, she hasn't really got the power to do anything. She's just a local MP in a very, very small constituency, and she hasn't really got any clout. She's just like this little busybody.
I was trying to remember how she goes from this to being that all-powerful, because I honestly can't remember, but I really like the actress Penelope Wilton because I love Ever Decreasing Circles. I absolutely love that show, and I like her I do love the character of Harriet Jones, but she's a little bit annoying in this one because I suppose because she's meant to be. She, like you said, she's the busybody. She keeps going on, I'm Harriet Jones, blah blah blah. So she hasn't quite got into the character that I really like yet, but I still thought she was good in it.
I think she becomes Prime Minister because she immediately jumps on the job. At the end of World War III,
blows up. Yeah.
Basically Downing Street was destroyed apart from the metal box that they all survive in.
Oh, that's right.
And then they realised that most of Parliament's been wiped out, and she's like the surviving MP of the whole disaster.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and then as soon as towards the end of the episode, I think so anyway, she basically comes out and starts doing news reports and gets on the job. So I think she just gets on the sort of public confidence vote immediately after that disaster. So it sort of wins the public over. And then the next time we see her, The Christmas Invasion, we can tell that, it's all paid off because she's now Prime Minister.
That's it. I do. Yeah, I like her, though. I think she's good.
She is good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mickey. Noel Clarke. What a cool guy Noel Clarke is.
He is. Yeah, he really is. And I think he's great as Mickey in this. He looks really young.
He does.
I just couldn't help when he first appeared. I was like, oh my God. He really does look young in it. But good little performance. And you it's good because you feel sorry for him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you didn't care about him, you'd be like, good. But no, great performance and little performance from Noel Clarke. I love the whole setup of like Jackie, Mickey and Rose. I think they're just very believable characters, and Noel's good in it. I thought he'd give a good performance. Especially, I think the best scene is the one you mentioned earlier when he's delighted in the fact that the tables have turned on Rose, because to be honest, she kind of deserved it after the way she treated him. So he's really pleased when he thinks the Doctor's left her just like she left him. And yeah, he's great in that scene.
Yeah. And that, before we move on, just very quickly, for me, that is one of the best things about Russell T Davies's writing, is that the way that he writes characters and their view on things and their dialogue is so relatable. I mean, that's why some of his stuff that he's written is some of the best you'll ever watch on television, because his character writing and his sort of observational writing about what's going on in the world at the time is just bang on. So, it's, for me, when we see a lot of episodes that the Moff's written, it's very much, I feel it's it sort of gets lost in the timey-wiminess of some of the storylines. And what he does, he sort of forces the character into a corner because he's written the story that way. So they've only got sort of limited things that they can say and do, because otherwise it impacts too much on another scene or another story. Whereas with the Russell T Davies stuff, it's just, all of his episodes are just full of these little scenes where the characters are just engaging with each other. And as a result, we engage with them as viewers a lot more, I feel, in the Russell T Davies era, because they're relatable, we engage with them, and we see scenes and we see characters along with how they're seeing it as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So when we see Mickey being that way with Rose,
we know why.
We know exactly why. And, and there's a little part of us that are like, what, bloody, right on as well, because we'd be like that. And so you really, you absolutely feel for the characters, the RTD era characters and some of the scenes that he's written and stuff. And I love that about art. If you've ever seen any of Russell T Davies's other stuff that he's done over the years, and you and I have spoken about some of his other things, haven't we? Like
Second Coming.
What's the other one? Queer as Folk.
Yeah.
Some of those things, the characters are just bang on believable and relatable. You know what I mean by that?
I do. I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I'll back it up with example. I mean, you look at like you said, you're sort of almost rooting for Mickey in that scene, and then you compare it to a scene like we reviewed Listen recently, where you've got Clara having the meal with Danny, and we both said, didn't we, the dialogue was just so clunky and unnatural, and people don't talk to each other like that. So you just sat there thinking, oh, what's this about? Whereas in this, the dialogue is natural and it's the sort of things people would say, and it's the sort of thing you as the viewer is wanting to say. So that's the difference, I think.
Absolutely.
Between the two writing styles, yeah.
Yeah, good comparison there as well.
Yeah.
So yes, anyway, Noel Clarke, really good as Mickey, like him, and really funny in this one. He's heartbroken, but it's kind of funny along with it. Jackie.
Jackie.
Get on,
I
Jackie.
love Jackie. When are we going to meet her? I really want to meet her.
Camille Kadiri.
Yeah, she's on my list
of
people to get. Just because I don't know, she might be nothing like her character, but she just seems fun, and I totally believe in her as the caring mum towards Rose. I think she's good in this story. Good performance. I just love Jackie. I think she's great.
She's a really good character, isn't she?
Yeah,
because she's got that. This is meant to be set in London, isn't it?
Yeah, it does mix. Like I say, it is quite nice to see genuine London locations in this one, because obviously a lot of the time Cardiff is doubling up for London, and they mix the two quite well, I thought, because obviously Rose's flat and all that is in Cardiff, and then we've got all the stuff around Big Ben and the Thames, which is London. We've got Downing Street, which is actually it's a road very close to Sci-Fi Centre, actually, Stamp Centre.
Oh, we walked
on
down
the
there,
Strand.
You and I, we've been there.
We've been there, so that's London. They do mix the two together quite well. I mean, I can easily believe that we're in London when we're not some of the time. Yeah, and vice versa. Yeah.
So it's meant to be like a very basic sort of London estate, isn't it? And, Jackie Tyler's character is anyone that's grown up in the south of England, more specifically London. Over the last, since the sort of 70s, 80s, really, this is quite a common setup where you have a single mum, raising a kid or kids, whatever, and they have to be strong characters. You know, single mums living on a. We never really see any trouble in Doctor Who, but living on what's, you know, perceived possibly as quite a rough London estate.
Yeah.
You know, bringing up a daughter, the sort of London single mum has got to be a very strong character. And Camille just does that in her sleep. And it's really great to watch sometimes because she's just got she just doesn't care. You know, she'll happily, you know, dish out a slap across the Doctor's face.
She does give him a good old slap.
She gives him a good right-hander, yeah. And then, you know, she's just in there completely concerned about Rose, doesn't care. It's just great. I love seeing Jackie on screen.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It's great stuff. Yeah. Right, Rose.
Oh, yeah, Billie Piper. I nearly forgot about Billie. Yeah, my new BFF.
Yeah.
I actually thought she was really good in this because I love Series 1 Rose, actually. Mm-hmm. I think the more I rewatch her, I really liked in this. I thought she was really good in her performance of not going over the top with scenes that perhaps it would have been easy to do that, like when the alien ship goes over. She doesn't like, oh my God, wow, it's an alien ship. You know, she's not really annoying or over the top like that. I thought her performance was really good in it. And I love all the stuff, like you said, with Mickey, because she sort of comes across as that sort of person that would just sit there and watch the TV and then think, oh, actually, I better go and see Mickey because it's been a year in his world. You know, so a good performance from Billie Tyler in this, I thought. Some good scenes with Chris as well, because all that stuff about, you know, being left behind, and the interaction between Rose and the Doctor is good in the sense that they are a team. Like she says to him, "You're going off to investigate, aren't you?" He's like, "No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not." She knows full well that he is. So yeah, I think they're a good little team, and I thought she gives a good performance in this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Also a big fan of Rose in this one. She wasn't too needy, wasn't too moody, wasn't lurching all over the Doctor like we see in a few episodes later on.
Yeah.
So yeah, good balance, I would say.
Yeah, I liked her a lot actually in this series. Yeah.
And Mr. Eccleston.
Mr. Eccleston. Now, we both really like Chris, don't we? And I really do rate him as the Doctor. I'm gonna just say that he wasn't bang on the money for me in this story, as well as good as he is in others. So he's still good in it. Mm-hmm. But I found him a little bit too... He didn't seem as comfortable as he does in other stories. That's probably the best way I can describe it. Like, there's a lot of gurning and a lot of grinning going on and a lot of sort of wide-eyed looking around. So don't get me wrong. I still thought he was great in it. You know, I love Chris's Doctor and I love Chris as the Doctor. But there were just certain moments, like when he's just a little bit OTT, like with the grinning, and maybe it's the humour side of the script. That I always think Chris is much better when he's doing the darker, serious Doctor. So maybe just some of the humour didn't quite sit right with him. Mm-hmm. But still good at it. Still very, very good in it. But just a little bit at times I just was like, it just didn't seem as comfortable in the story as he does in some of his other ones.
Okay. I think, I think I'll agree with that. It's he was a little bit more reserved for me.
Yeah.
Than when we've seen him at his best in this series, and I think he's still good, still really good. But I just feel like the script didn't really call on him to do much in a way of like standout scenes or standout lines or anything like that.
I think perhaps the next episode, perhaps he gets more.
He does.
There's more meat on the bone for him. But yeah, nothing really against Chris's performance. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think he just didn't have an awful lot to do. But he's still good, like you said about the scene where he's trying to get the TV remote off the kid and stuff like that. All that's great. The scene where he says about saving the world and all that is all good. Actually, there is one bit I absolutely love with Chris in this. I nearly forgot. Is when he comes out of the cupboard or whatever it is, and all the army officers raise their guns, and he's like surrounded by about 20 guns.
Yeah.
And he just smiles. He's just, and I don't know why, but I just always love that because that sums up the Doctor. There's no panic. There's not like that. He's just like, okay, I'm just going to deal with the situation.
And he does. Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. I love that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good stuff.
So he is good in it. He is good.
He is good. Just a little bit more reserved in his performance for me.
Yeah, same.
Anything else you want to mention before we get on to our scores?
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered it.
Yeah, you're all good. I thought the music was pretty good. We haven't mentioned the music. I thought that was pretty good. Murray Gold doing he's got a very distinct feel to season. Where's the swear jar? Right.
Gary doesn't like to say season, if you're wondering why.
Yes.
Series.
Right, so Series 1. Murray Gold has definitely got a distinct feel.
It's different, isn't it? It doesn't sound as orchestrated as his latest stuff.
It's more sound effecty and more sort of electronic, I guess. But I thought it was pretty good. Really like Murray Gold's Series 1 stuff.
Yeah, I do. I like the soundtrack a lot, actually. It definitely has its own feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. I suppose we should just quickly mention UNIT, actually, before we wrap up, because this must be the first time that they're introduced in the new series, I assume. Just thinking back now, what have we had before this? Rose, they're not in it. They're not in Rose. No, not in Rose.
They're not in...
Yes, it must be. Yeah, it must be the first time we get to see UNIT in the new series. We don't get to see much of them, do we? Don't know if they're in the second part more. But yeah, good to see them getting a mention. I would imagine, obviously, as it's the first time, back then, people would have been like, oh yeah, UNIT have got a mention. So it probably was a big thing back then, whereas now they've been in it quite a lot. So I'm sure, I can't remember, but I'm sure I would have been having a little scream at the TV when they got mentioned back then. Yeah.
Yes. Right, Aliens of London.
Aliens of London then, so.
Our scores, it's you to go first.
Is it me? I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was perfect.
I enjoyed it.
I certainly found it entertaining. Let's put it that way. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I did.
Okay.
But it's not perfect. I mean, yeah, I do think there's some issues with it. So 7 out of 10, but a strong 7. Yeah.
Cool. For me, I'm going with a 7.5.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were going to go for a 9 or something ridiculous then.
No.
7.5. Well, that's good then, because, yeah.
Yes, I think it's a very, very fun watch.
It is.
It's absolutely not up there with some of the more self-proclaimed classics from modern Doctor Who.
It's not as bad as its reputation, though, is it?
Yes, I think that's more accurate. Yeah, it's definitely not as bad as what you would think. If you heard people talking about it, you'd think, well, it's not that bad. But it's a great fun watch. Really, really funny in places. Great story. Great characters. Yeah, it's just not as great as some of the other ones. Yeah.
Does it all go downhill in part 2, though? See, I'm thinking, is that the thing? Is part 2? Because I can't remember, honestly. Is it part 2 that just people remember more? And of course, you amalgamate the two together. So maybe part 2 is the reason it's got the rep it has.
Maybe
I don't
it's
know.
Weaker. Yes,
we shall see.
We shall see. Yeah. Right. So, what did you guys think? We had quite a few reviews in audio clips, which is great. Twitter and Facebook. So we're going to plough through just a few of these audio clips first. So first up is Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gary Allen for the Voodoo Box podcast. Hope you guys all enjoying the show. Now, Aliens of London, I love this story, mainly because of the concept of the Slitheen and how they can infiltrate and become prime ministers. And yes, they are farty, jokey aliens for the kids, but how they can infiltrate and become prime minister and become really big figureheads. We don't know if anyone could be a Slitheen. I mean, Donald Trump could be a Slitheen, which wouldn't surprise me, by the way, but it could be a thing. You know, we just don't know. I think that was really good, and I like the cliffhanger at the end where all these people in the room were getting attacked and they died. So everyone that knew everything about aliens, but of course they didn't get the Doctor, was dead, and that added to the next episode. But also Eccleston in the story is great. I love Rose Tyler for once. That's a rarity. And I also like Mickey and Jackie, but I can't just go without saying in this review, I love the opening bit where they're late. It's just funny. She gets slapped. He gets slapped by Jackie. You gotta love Jackie, haven't you? But yeah, I'm gonna give the story a 9 out of 10. I really enjoy this one. See you guys next week.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Cheers, Alex. High score there. He's got a point about Donald Trump, hasn't he?
He could be a Slitheen. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Let's keep the audio train going. This is Owen Daly.
Hi guys, hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. So, Aliens in London, the Ninth Doctor story. This is a fantastic story in my opinion. It's the first part of the two-parter, I believe. So, excuse me if I just get them muddled up a bit because I'm actually not sure what happens in each part. But from what I remembered, this is possibly one of my favourite episodes of Series 1. The Slitheen are my favourite monsters of all time. Shoot me if you want, but I just love the Slitheen. I think this story is just such a great introductory. It's the great new monster, and how they're introduced is great. It's kind of kept in the shadows like the classic era, and you only really start to see the monsters at the end of part 1. One thing that I really love about the story is the cliffhangers. There's a lot of cliffhangers at the end. You got the policeman attacking Jackie. You've got the Ninth Doctor getting electrocuted, and I believe there's a Rose cliffhanger as well, which I can't remember. But they're just so gripping and really left me wanting to watch part 2. It's a really great setup, and it reintroduces Unit to the new series, which is great. Introduces Harriet Jones. It also has that great moments of reintroducing Rose back to Earth and having to see the consequences of her running away, which I really, really did enjoy. So for a first part of a two-part story, I will give this a 7 out of 10. So thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
Good stuff.
Yeah, excellent, good stuff. So that's nice to hear some positive stuff going. I had a feeling this was going to get slayed because just don't remember it being that good. But yeah, it's nice to hear some positive stuff.
So far, so good. Let's welcome back our good old friend. This is Lou from Loopyland.
Hello. Long time no speak. So, Aliens of London. I think my favourite bit is when Rose and the Doctor have that little chat on the wall before the ship crashes. We don't often get those ordinary little moments, and I just love Rose and Nine together so much. I get all nostalgic over these early scenes when they're getting to know each other. I'm not a huge Slitheen fan really, but it's a fun story. I think it gets better in the next episode, to be honest, World War III. So I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It would be less if it weren't for Rose and Nine.
Thank you very much, Lou.
Cheers, Lou. Good to hear from you. Yeah.
Some good stuff there. Right.
She says it gets better in part 2. I hope she's right.
Does. Yeah. Yes. Right, on Twitter, Joseph Hudson says, too childish for Doctor Who.
Oh.
Actually a lot.
Right. Is that it?
That's it, yeah. Neil, his Twitter name is at Brighter Moon, BRYTER. Says, an odd one this. Here's my review. And he's got an attachment. It says, hi guys, thanks for awesome work on the podcast. For the glory of the Centauran Empire. Thank you very much. He said, this is a strange episode. It feels like the writers were still trying to find their feet in terms of what they want the tone of the new show to be. On one hand, they give you large green farting aliens. On the other, they give you the complex relationship of Rose and Mickey. The story itself is a good one and is helped by Eccleston being brilliant, but it never really kicks into anything special. 6 out of 10.
Okay. Oh, fair enough.
Yep. Daniel Fox says, quite silly but quite fun. Eccleston and Piper are great and the Slitheen need to be in more episodes. 8 out of 10.
Cheers, Daniel.
Ken Major says, Slitheen in this episode typified misplaced comedy in first half of Series 1. Great use of locations and dialogue with leads. 6 out of 10.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The Geek's Handbag.
That's me.
That's you. You've just been watching it. That's all.
Oh, right. Okay. I was going to say I don't remember. Yeah.
Right. Let's have a look. Elijah Kraling says, this story with a silly monster actually was quite a cool story. Slitheen, I actually think, aren't as bad as what people say they are.
No.
Yes. That will do for Twitter. Let's do some more audio. This is Russ Hilton.
On the downside, the first CGI shots of the Raxacoricofallapatorians removing their people skins are poor, making the costumed versions actually look good, for the time being at least. And for me, the farting jokes were well overdone. The episode itself finished on a high though, with the return of the Doctor Who cliffhanger. The Doctor in peril, Rose in peril and Jackie in peril, and hero of the hour elect Mickey nowhere to be seen. For me, the cliffhanger is what Doctor Who is all about. And waiting a whole week for the resolution again. Wow. My favourite show was back.
Thank you very much, Russ.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good cliffhanger, and I do love a cliffhanger, so I will agree with him on that one. Yeah,
it's
good
great
stuff.
And incidentally, Russ, by the way, goes by the online name of Theta Sigma.
Yes.
And if you've not checked out the Theta Sigma podcast, you should do so.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Very good. Right, let's jump over to Facebook. Sammy Satine. She says, right, Rose has gone a year. Jackie is upset about that and slaps the Doctor. Giant spaceship crashes into Big Ben. What is a spaceship? What exactly are the protocols for an alien incursion? And who are these large people with zips in their heads? Yes, I know the Isle of Slitheen. We still don't know their species name, though, because Slitheen is the family name. So are they Roxicora palafatorians? The actors who play them do a great job. Nice to see Unit. First time in the modern series we see them. And Tosh examines the body of an alien. I thought she worked for Torchwood. Nice to see her, though. Harriet Jones, the woman who can't help but introduce herself. Trinity Wells. Big disasters on the show are not the same without her. Love the cameos from the BBC News people. Love the interactions between Mickey and the Doctor. Feel a bit sorry for Mickey. He gets put down a lot by the Doctor and his girlfriend. Rose treats him badly for the most part. Noel Clarke does an excellent job of playing Mickey. This episode makes me nostalgic for the characters of Jackie, Mickey, Tosh, Trinity Wells. Series 1 Rose, because of Series 1 Rose, was nicer than Series 2 Rose. And she didn't fancy the Doctor as much back then, and she was less whiny.
That's true.
Billy does a great job, though. Also, the Ninth Doctor, played brilliantly by Chris Eccleston, was the funny, dark, depressed, angry alien, but lovable. And the cliffhanger, good cliffhanger. Can the Doctor stop the Slitheen from killing himself? Harriet Jones, Rose, Jackie, and the rest of the Earth. Find out next week. And she gives it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, right.
Yes.
High score.
Jim Cameron from the Crinoid podcast, another good podcast.
Oh, another good podcast,
Yes. On iTunes or whatever, do a search for Crinoid podcast. Very, very good. He says,
touch pod. Yeah.
He says, I've tried to like this over the years, but I hated it on transmission and I still do.
Oh, Jim.
Childish nonsense. The bit about the effects of Rose's departure on her family and friends is new and interesting, but that's all I can find to like about it. A real low point in Series 1, but thank goodness for Dalek getting us back on track.
Not a fan then, Jim.
Not a fan, Jim, yeah. More audio. This is Matt Rowney from Who Addicts Reviews.
Hi there, Garen Adam. I hope you two are well. Now, apologies, I never got round to recording my review for The Talons of Weng-Chiang last week, so I'm quickly going to say I freaking love it. It's got to be at least an 8 or even a 9 out of 10. Aliens London and World War III is actually, I think, one of my favourite stories of Series 1. I really, really like this because it's just so relatable. You know, it's the type of episode that I wish we'd get more often now. I mean, obviously New Who had just came back at this point, so everything was a bit brand new. And I loved the whole alien invasion, UFO crash thing. It felt so real and so relevant and so relatable. Because nowadays, you know, when we see an alien or a UFO on planet Earth in modern day, people go crazy, people go nuts. And you just kind of think, well, this happens all the time now, you know, it's not really a big deal, whereas back then, seeing this happen in present day and the way it was handled was fantastic. The news reports, the way that, you know, it was affecting Downing Street, the Prime Minister was coming out making statements, you know, it really did make you feel like you were there in London and it was happening around you. And the way that they linked that in to the Prime Minister being a Slitheen all along and the way the Slitheen family had incorporated themselves into Parliament was just fantastic. The setting was also great, the Slitheen were absolutely brilliant, and the Ninth Doctor was just, as he always is, fantastic. I even enjoyed Rose in this, and it was also the start of Harriet Jones, MP for Flydell North. And yeah, it's just a great two-parter, I really enjoy it, and I just think it's a really, really nice watch, and it sends me back to when Doctor Who was just brilliant. So I'd probably give it a strong 8 out of 10. Take care, guys. Have a good week.
That's a really great point at the end there. It takes you back to when Doctor Who was just fantastic.
Just fantastic. Yeah, cheers for that, Matt. And we've heard and used the word relatable quite a lot, haven't we? Which I think really does apply to RTD's era. So, yeah, thanks for that, Matt.
Yes, and also just very quickly, your co-host and good friend James, we hope he's on the road to recovery because he got run over, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, he had a nasty accident.
Nasty accident. So we hope you're doing well, James, and you're nearly back on track. Right, let's do another audio clip. This is Joe Sweeney.
Hello again, Adam. Hope you're too well. So, the Aliens of London. I'm on the fence with this one because in some aspects it is good and some aspects it's not good. I'll say positives. It's an okay storyline. It's got some good concept and dialogue in it, and the pacing of it was okay. I like it when the spaceship was coming to Big Ben and the River Thames. I thought that was quite awesome. And Christopher Eccleston gave one strong performance in this yet again, and Billy was okay. Rose just annoyed me because she didn't have any compassion for Mickey whatsoever after what she put him through for a whole year. And Slitheen, or where to begin with Slitheen, I think they're just one big joke. I just can't see the point where they keep farting all the time, because that just throws me right off them. Because I know they're big aliens, but I just can't see a point of it. And I just think it's totally ridiculous. I really dislike them, so I'm glad they didn't bore them back again. And I must point out at the beginning of the episode where Rose went missing for a whole year, I think that just complicated the Doctor Who timeline a little bit. Because if you think back in the end of time, when the 10th Doctor visited Rose in 2005 before she met the 9th Doctor, if that was the case, then why is series 3 and 4 set in 2007 and 2008 when they should have been a year up? I just find that a bit confusing. Overall, okay episode, so give a score from 6 out of 10. Hope you enjoy podcast, guys. Speak soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Joe. He's got my brain ticking away now, thinking about that timeline thing.
Yeah, he's planted the seed.
Yeah,
I have to look into that.
He's sat on that fence and he's planted that seed.
Yes,
it's a good point though, Joe.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Rightio, let's go back on Facebook. Matthew Webb says, hi guys, this was the second episode of Doctor Who I ever watched when the show came back, and I remember being absolutely immersed by it. Admittedly, I hadn't seen it for several years, so it was great to rewatch for the podcast. The story starts off with brilliant pre-title sting and only continues to improve from there. Slitheen are a truly terrifying foe, which is something I felt the following episode ruined for me. Chris, Billy and Noel are a fantastic trio throughout the story, and the banter between them is an enjoyable watch. I think it's worth praising the solid guest cast as well, with Naoko Mori, Penelope Wilton, Annette Badland and David Very being just a few of the more prominent names in the cast. Overall, brilliant story, well directed, well scored and acted. Despite some cheesy moments, it was a highlight of Series 1 for me, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, good stuff.
Let's keep it going. Miles McKenzie says, hey Gary and Ed, I hope you're both doing well. I've literally just finished watching this episode and I can't believe it's been about a year since I last viewed it. I love the 9th Doctor in this and how he tends to get excited about history, and he's got a cracking few lines in there. Rose was decent in his story alongside her mum and Mickey, but Harriet Jones, she is just so annoying throughout the whole of Doctor Who.
Oh.
To be honest with we know you are a joke, and a Slitheen, aka Raxacora Falapatorius, have got a nice wee plot for them, but their farts are sometimes annoying and cringy. I wish they just made it subtle. Overall, I quite like the story. You can say that the Slitheen's UFO crash hoax plan was the silent but deadly.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
7.5.
Yeah, you've really nailed saying that Raxacora thing, haven't you?
Yeah.
I haven't.
off the tongue now. Rolls off the tongue nicely. Lewis Palmer says, a fairly good start to the story. The image of the ship crashing through Big Ben is quite iconic. There is some great comedy with the BBC News, and I love the scene where the Doctor wrestles the toddler for the TV remote. Mm-hmm. Some great serious scenes mixed with comedic ones, but sometimes this can create a bit of a confusing tone. Slitheen are good monsters, and I love the design with the oversized hands and claws. The actors do a good job, as I feel, as well, but the farting thing got quite childish and old fast. I think the Slitheen are much more suited to the Sarah Jane adventures.
Yeah.
In the stories that they had in the show, they felt a lot more at home than they do in Doctor Who. There's a great cliffhanger as well, but it's kind of ruined by the spoilerific Next Time trailer. Overall, part 1 gets a 7.5.
Yeah, cheers, Lewis.
Only a few more now on Facebook. So Danny Brown says, one of the first Doctor Who stories I ever watched, so I love it regardless of how bad the Slitheen looks. I can see its faults, but I still like it. 7.5.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Mark Atkinson says, my least fave episode of Series 1. The tone is all over the place and it's just a bit too silly. So 5 out of 10.
Okay, we must actually, Mark does a great podcast. As we're shouting out podcasts,
True.
Doctor Who podcast that Mark does is brilliant. So, yeah.
Doctor Who. Stan Stacey Gallagher says, good story, but I do not like the Slitheen much. And lastly on Facebook, Finn Walsh says, hello guys, and sorry for the rant about Blink, but it's true. But I've just got not much to say about the story. I find this very average to mediocre. Not saying it's horrible because it's easy to watch. So overall, not much to add on this. I'll give it, for the first time ever viewing, a rating of 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Yes. And we'll finish up this bit with our last audio clip. This is from Jay Kent.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're having a good one. Now, Aliens of London. Oh boy. Now, I find calling this episode clever, weird, what with the fart aliens, but it is. The plot is carefully constructed, the Slitheen strategy for their plan is unique, and the whole thing with Rose being missing is really well done. On that note, genuine question, because the timelines have always confused me. After this, all present-day episodes happen in 2006, and all of Series 2 happen in 2007, because in the Christmas Invasion we can see them repairing Big Ben, which is a great detail, but it's always just thrown me. Nevertheless, even if the effects are a bit dated now, they're charming, even if they did have to flip the crash shot. And of course, this is our reintroduction to Unit to Doctor Who on our first time seeing him since the revival, and honestly, it's underwhelming. They come in to die and that's it. But it's a fun, enjoyable little episode, and one that I could easily watch and have a good time with. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Have a good podcast, guys, and watch out for any invisible zips in people's heads.
Good point.
You have to watch out for the zips.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. Nice one, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Right, anything through on the Geek Sandbag?
Yeah, we've had a lot of. I'm really quite surprised actually how much feedback we've had for this episode, and which is great. Really loving it. I should just say we did get something on Twitter from, I'm not sure how you'd say this. Is it Llama Mad 3? I'm not sure. He sent in a little audio clip. But it got cut off.
It got cut off, yeah.
So we couldn't include it. But the basic thing was that he really enjoys it, and he gives it an 8 or 9 out of 10. So cool. I hope I'm saying the Twitter name right, because I'm not too sure. Llama Bottle Zero? Don't know. Anyway, you know who you are, and thanks for sending it in. But yeah, next time send the audio through our email address, and we'll play it through. But I did get some on Facebook. So we had Dean Jones said, something of a mixed bag. The plot is interesting, but there are a lot of tonal issues within the script, with RTD struggling to balance the humour and the horror. I will give this story major credit for showing the consequences of travelling with the Doctor in the new series, and the Slitheen are an interesting group of villains, to say the least. I would give this a 5, but due to the plot being intriguing and some nice side characters and moments, I'm giving the first part a 6 out of 10, says Dean. Okay, thanks very much, Dean. Callum Johnston says, I have a soft side for this story, and as I remember watching it when it came out and being very scared of the Slotheens, as the scene of them chasing the Doctor down the corridor was so frightening to me. Love the story and the acting, even though the fart jokes aren't great. I'll still rate this as one of my favourites. So Callum's giving it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool.
Harry Walker says, overuse of fart jokes aside, a cracking good story. I love the very busy cliffhanger, as it really showed there was a lot at stake concerning the Slitheen. Contrary to popular opinion, I found them to be quite a genuine threat in this story, but again, less of the farting would have been gladly accepted. Great performances and great production values. A story I am always happy to rewatch. Thanks, Harry. Matthew Blank says, great opening story, but got stupid and tedious really quickly. The Slitheen were my least favourite baddies of the series, possibly ever. Wow, Matt. Mainly due to the consistent farting. Well, fair enough. How can you fear something that farts all the time? Did the Daleks burp? Did the Cybermen hiccup? He asks. He's got a good point. Can you imagine a Cyberman hiccuping in computer tone? Okay. And finally, Charlie Turner. For some reason, Facebook has tried to hide your comment from me, but I see it. It says, it was okay. I don't hate it as such, but the Slitheen are way too adorable looking for me. Then again, it was Series 1, so it's excusable, I guess. Thanks for all your comments, guys. Some really good stuff there. Facebook keeps doing that to me. I don't know if it does it to you. It keeps hiding comments, so they're sort of randomly, there, but not there. Yeah, I don't know why, but don't worry. I see them.
We see them, don't worry.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not sure about you, mate, but I thought we were going to get a lot more negative reviews in for that one.
I definitely did. Yeah, I'm surprised that A, that I enjoyed it as much as I did on a rewatch, and B, I'm surprised at the amount of positive comments we got. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Very good. Right, next week. So you're going to have to wait till a week after next for our concluding review for World War III, because we are going to split it up, because as you know, we do alternate Classic Who and Modern Who on a week-by-week basis. So we're going back to Classic Who next week. Dude, what are we going to review next week?
Well, this is going to be interesting because we are doing a McCoy story that is the only McCoy story that I have never managed to really get into. So next week we're doing Battlefield. I mean, you guys out there, you know I love McCoy. It's a brilliant era. I love every single story, but Battlefield, I've just never quite managed to get into. And I'm really looking forward to giving it a rewatch because I often put it on and really want to love it, and I've never managed to. So let's see if next week when I give it a watch, if I finally come round to liking Battlefield. And I have no idea whether you like it or not, Gary. I don't know your thoughts on that one.
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting. No,
it's going to be good. So Battlefield next week. Looking forward to your thoughts and comments on that. And I think we're going to wrap there for 105.
Okay.
Thank you for sticking with us. We had a packed show this week. It's been a real, with loads of news and merch, and a real positive review overall from us and from our listeners on Aliens of London, which is good. It's a good thing. Next week we're going back to Unlimited Rice Pudding for the 7th Doctor, Mr. McCoy. And Battlefield. So if you haven't watched that one in a while, dig out your classic DVDs or your VHS tapes, whatever you've got, stick that in, give it a rewatch, and then send us an audio clip or an email or a tweet or a Facebook post, whichever takes your fancy. And we will play them out and read them on the show, because it's the best part of the show, hearing what you guys think and interacting with you guys. So it's all good.
I'm intrigued to hear what people think of that one because of my mixed sort of view on it. It'd be really interesting to see what people think of this one.
Yeah, so I've not watched it in a while either, so it'd be interesting to give that one a watch. Before we get on to website stuff, any of you or any of our young listeners in the UK that are getting their GCSE results today, or yesterday as it were, we hope you've had a good result. And even if you haven't, don't worry. If you haven't had the GCSE results that you wanted or anything, do not panic, do not worry. There's plenty of options out there for you, plenty of stuff to do. It's all good.
It is, yeah.
So don't worry. Right, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.com. You can listen to all of our previous episodes, plus you can link off to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that lovely stuff. And you can also link off to iTunes and some other bits and pieces and subscribe that way. And if you are an iTunes listener, if you could give us a review and a rating, that would be fantastic. It would be really good. It helps us out a lot. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag. Just do a search for Adam over on YouTube and Facebook, The Geek's Handbag. Loads of cool stuff there.
I'm so excited about the upcoming vids. I'm not just saying it.
I'm not
really
just saying
pleased
that. They're going to be great.
No, I'm just so pleased with the next couple. I did those Titans, those Goodman Titans. I did a little unboxing video I filmed yesterday, and you've got the Tom and Billy video. So check them out.
Oh, cool.
All coming up.
All good. Right. Until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...